Well, let's bring in now South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham. I want to put up the headline from the president on Truth Social that he tweeted last hour. He said 2 words, unconditional surrender. What, Senator, does that mean to you in regards to the Ayatollah in Iran?
It suggests to me that the president believes that the nuclear program cannot be ended through diplomacy, that unconditional surrender is a sign, is a term often used with a war. And I talked to the president last night. I just want to say this. I'm so glad he is where he is at. He's the right guy at the right time. He's calm as he can be. He's resolved. He's steady. I think he's done a marvelous job of handling this conflict. And I believe the sun is about to set on the Iran nuclear ambitions. They need our help, Israel does, to take out Fordo. They need help from us. I'm hoping the president will provide Israel the help they need to finish the job of the last nuclear site underground. And if we accomplish destroying the Iranian nuclear program, it will be historic for the region and historic for the world. This is a religious Nazi regime bent on purifying Islam, destroying the Jewish state, and coming after us. They're religious Nazis. And this regime does not need, nor can they ever have, a nuclear weapon. And Donald Trump is about to put a period on that statement.
So, Senator, we don't know for sure, but we believe that the meeting in the Situation Room with the National Security Council may be to decide whether or not the U.S. does dispatch B-2 bombers to take down the enrichment facility at Fordo. You believe firmly that the president should decide in the affirmative on that?
Well, I've said from the very beginning, it is in our national security interest to make sure Iran doesn't have a nuclear weapon. They're an existential threat to our friends in Israel. They really do mean death to Israel, but they also mean death to America. There's no doubt in my mind that if the Ayatollah had a nuclear weapon, he would use it to destroy Israel as part of his religious agenda. His religious agenda includes purifying Islam, going after Sunni Saudi Arabia, destroying the Jewish state, and coming after us because we're infidels. He is literally a religious Nazi. So it is my belief that President Trump understands the threat the Ayatollah presents to us, not just Israel, and that he will, at the end of the day, help Israel finish the job. And that will require, I think, weapons that Israel doesn't possess and maybe joint military operations.
There's also a question about what to do about the Ayatollah. The president put this out on Truth Social shortly before we went on the air. He said, quote, "We know exactly where the so-called supreme leader is hiding. He is an easy target, but is safe there. We are not going to take him out, kill, at least not for now. But we don't want missiles shot at civilians or American soldiers. Our patience is wearing thin." You part ways with the president on that issue. You think he should be taken out?
Well, I'm going to trust President's judgment. Very much I trust his judgment. And I think for now is a term the Ayatollah should understand in Trump world is ever changing. So what is the president trying to do? He's letting the Ayatollah know if you attack American interests, that's the end of you and your regime. What am I trying to do? I'm trying to make the case that ending Iran's nuclear ambitions is not only good for Israel, it's good for us. And they're the weakest they've been since 1979. This region, since 1979, has been this regime has been repressing their people, trying to destroy Israel and have American blood on their hands. I hope it's eliminated. I would like to see this regime fall, but I'm going to leave it up to the president as to what to do and when to do it. But I do know this. If we don't take out their nuclear program now, we'll all regret it. We're very close. Be all in, Mr. President, in helping Israel finish the job, and let's see where we're at after we neutralize their nuclear program.
And in terms of the Ayatollah and whether or not he stays or he goes right, with force on either the part of the Israelis or someone else. We were talking to Michael Oren, the former Israeli ambassador to the United States last hour, who thought that, like Hirohito at the end of World War II, Israel and the President of the United States might want an authority figure in place to sign the necessary documents for capitulation. Do you agree with that or not?
Well, that's not a bad point to make, and I don't want to overly analyze this. I just know since 1979, Iran has been the largest state sponsor of terrorism. They have American blood on their hands, and they'll want to wipe out our friends in Israel and eventually come after us. As to what should happen and when should it happen, I think it's imperative we finish the job regarding their nuclear capability as soon as possible. As whether or not the Ayatollah stays or goes, I'll leave that up to the president. But I want to let the American people know Iran is incredibly wounded. Their command and control is virtually destroyed. They're in disarray, and they're very dangerous. I don't want to underestimate the danger of being involved in these operations, but the danger of Iran having a nuclear weapon or surviving as a state sponsor of terrorism is far greater than the danger of trying to end the threat. So that's the decision President Trump has to make. And I think he's the right guy at the right time to make that decision. But I'm hoping the sun is setting not only on their nuclear program, but the regime itself. Sooner they leave the world stage, the better the world will be. We can have true peace in the Mideast only if the regime falls, in my view.
Yeah, I mean, they do upset the apple cart in so many ways in the Middle East, and there are a lot of people there who believe that the reason why that region is not more stable is because of Iran. Saudi Arabia would like to see the theocracy gone. Yes. I know the Emirates would, and many other Arab states as well. But then there's the question of what happens if there is a power vacuum there. We saw all too well what happened in Iraq. We saw what happened in Afghanistan when the Taliban took over in literally a matter of hours. You've got competing factions as well who would vie to take over Iran. On the one side, you've got the Crown Prince, Reza Pahlavi, who would like to go in as an interim leader. The other side of that fence, you've got the NCRI, the National Council for Resistance in Iran, which used to be the MEK, which a lot of people in Iran say would be worse than the Ayatollah. So what steps into the vacuum if the regime falls?
Well, I think what will happen is the Iranian people will know freedom for the first time since 1979. People probably asked that about Hitler in the 30s. What would happen in Germany if we took him out in the mid-30s? Well, I wish we had, because we know what happened when they let him stay in power. And here's what I can say. Taking the Ayatollah's regime down is a good thing, not a bad thing. And I'm willing to risk what happens next because I know what's going to happen if they stay in power. They're going to keep trying to destroy Israel. They're going to keep fomenting terrorism, and they're going to try to build a bomb, and they'll use it until they're gone. Their goal is a religious goal, to destroy the Jews, to destroy Sunni Islam, to destroy us. These are fanatical religious Nazis. I'm willing to risk them leaving. I think it will only get better. But if they stay, I know exactly what's going to happen. It will be all hell to pay.
Senator, we're just trying to stretch a little bit here for what we believe is the beginning of the State Department briefing. So let's bring in Gillian here.
Hi, Senator.
Hello.
Wanted to ask you about this interesting comment from Axios to build on what you were just talking about with John. They got some sourcing today on the president's thinking regarding his decision not to take out the Ayatollah, and a source very close to the president told them, quote, "It's the Ayatollah you know versus the Ayatollah you don't know." That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think the president has handled this very well. Taking out the Ayatollah, I understand both sides of that equation. But I do understand taking out the nuclear program is non-negotiable. That's non-negotiable for Israel. It's non-negotiable for us. And here's the question. Would the Ayatollah use a nuclear weapon as part of his religious agenda if he had it? I think the answer is yes. I don't think Rocket Man's going to attack America as much as I don't like Putin. I don't think he's going to attack America, but I do believe the Ayatollah is a religious figure who has a religious view that is very dangerous for the existence of Israel and us, and he would actually use a nuclear weapon. So let's don't overthink this. Let's take the nuclear program off the table, destroy it in perpetuity, then decide what to do next. But I do believe if this regime fell, it would be great for the Iranian people. It would be the best chance to have peace in the Mideast, and it would be history being made. President Trump is a historical figure already. He's about to go to another level of history making. 4 presidents have promised to make sure Iran doesn't have a nuclear weapon. It will be Donald J. Trump who delivers on that promise very soon. Well done, Mr. President.
Well, so, sir, pulling up a Reagan Institute study survey from the summer, they found that 84% of Americans want to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. The rub, as you well know, is probably like 110% of Americans don't want to have another 20-year-long or even 20-month-long war in the Middle East.
Yeah, we're not talking about 20 months. I'm not even sure we're talking about 20 days. Now, why do 84% of the people don't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon? Because they believe, like I do, they will use it. These people are religious fanatics. They're not normal. They take young girls off a bus and kill them in Iran itself because they're not covered. These people are religious fanatics. A religious agenda that needs to be stopped now. So if they get a nuclear weapon, they'll use it. And Israel's not going to even play with that possibility, nor should we. But here's what I would say to the American people. You know, endless war has been Iran since 1979. Since 1979, they've been trying to come after us in Israel. I'd like to end that endless war. But if you think radical Islam can be dealt with and dealt with without being dealt with, you're wrong. You've got to stand up to these people. They mean what they say. When they chant death to Israel, they mean it. Death to America, they mean it. So we live in a world where we have to defend ourselves. I don't think it's going to be 20 months, but here's what I do believe. If we don't get it right now, we're going to pay later. If they survive all of this, God help us all.
But, sir, can you guarantee that? Can President Trump in any form, can you make the commitment that this would not lead to a longer war?
I can guarantee you that if the Ayatollah gets a nuclear weapon, he will use it. I believe that with all my heart and soul. So the men and women who serve, they're the ones going, not people answering a poll. And if you ask them, would you be willing to risk your life to stop the Ayatollah from having a nuclear weapon? All of them would say yes, because it makes their country, our country, safer. So we live in a world where you've got to confront problems. You want to avoid World War III? Learn the lessons from World War II. People in World War II appeased Hitler to the point that it got so much out of hand, we had a world war and 60 million people got killed. So we live in a world where you pay now or you pay later. Let's stop this threat before he gets a nuclear weapon. Let's end this reign of terror. Let's do it now. It's not going to take 20 months, but I can't guarantee you your freedom and your safety unless we're willing to fight for it. I can guarantee you this. If we don't fight for our freedom, we will lose it.
Yeah, well, Senator, you do have opposition within your own party to all of this. Marjorie Taylor Greene posting this on X on Sunday.
You could put them in a phone booth. You could put them in a phone booth. Those Republicans who are opposed to supporting Israel against Iran, you could literally put in a phone booth.
Well, and phone books come in different sizes, too. There's
phone
the phone book. Phone booth. I'm sorry, I thought you said a phone book.
Phone booth.
Well, phone booths are about the same size, although you'd be hard-pressed to find one.
No, I'm not worried about Republicans.
But
Republicans are with Israel.
Let me just, if I could, put this out. Marjorie Taylor Greene says, anyone slobbering for the U.S. to become fully involved in the Israel-Iran war is not America First or MAGA. Wishing for murder of innocent people is disgusting. We are sick and tired of foreign wars, all of them. Yeah, take a look at this graphic. I don't know if you can see this graphic, Senator, but let me put this out there for the audience to see. It's believed that left to their own devices, without any kind of degradation, within 2 to 3 days, Iran could develop one weapon. Within a month, this is breeding like rabbits. Within a month, they have 11 weapons. Within 5 months, they have 22 weapons. And a lot of people believe that a regime like the Iranian one, the more weapons you have, the more likely you are to use them.
Yeah, I mean, I like Marjorie, but be honest with you, she doesn't understand the threat, in my view. If you don't understand that Iran, a religious theocracy, religious Nazis, would use a nuclear weapon to kill all the Jews, you don't listen to what they say. They're a threat to us. They're a threat to the state of Israel. It is not in the world's interest to give this religious fanatic a nuclear weapon. Somebody's got to deal with it. Donald Trump is the right man to deal with this. I think he's been very measured. He had 60 days. Steve Witkoff went over there 3 or 4 times. They've tried very hard to get Iran to the table. I appreciate reaching out and trying to do this diplomatically. I appreciate Witkoff. I appreciate President Trump trying. Well, it's not working. You can't have peace unless both people want peace. And what the Iranians want is to kill all the Jews and kill us. And the answer is no, we're not going to let them do that. So the sun is setting on this regime, and that's a good thing. The sun is setting on their nuclear program. But to every American who enjoys freedom and believes that we should be helping Israel, sometimes you have to fight sometimes you have to fight back, and this is one of those times.
Senator, we thank you for spending time with us.